I'm not a big Sid the Kid fan. I actually played against Sidney Crosby when he was 12 years old. So I know a little bit about Sidney Crosby. So I have my own story that, but I will say this. I do think that you're blowing Lafreniere a little bit out of proportion. I mean, some people even came out and said people were trying to compare his skills to Sidney Crosby. And he said, I am not Sidney Crosby, nor am I anywhere close to him. I hope to be something like him in the future, which is something that I'm happy that he said. I mean, that was a very professional way of saying it. But I think a lot of Ranger fans, they blow a little, they blow him a little bit out of proportion. I think he's going to be a good player, but let's see. I mean, last year's second pick, the second pick in the first round, and we all know who we're talking about. Everybody saw it. Everybody said, oh, he was going to be fantastic. He's going to score 30 goals. He barely got 20. So, I mean, that's something that you have to look at. And you got to, with being that he's a young player, you expect him to be a good, be a highly performance type of player, but we don't know what he's going to be. So we'll see.
Oh, that goes without saying. I mean, Jack Hughes was also talked about for years and turned out to be not much to write home about, right? So you can never really tell. But I'm telling you that I'm not blowing it out of proportion. I didn't compare it to Sidney Crosby. I said Sidney Crosby was a mean player, right? I didn't compare him to Connor McDavid. I didn't do any of those things. I said he's a left wing that can control the game like a center. I said he's a generational talent. This is not my words. These are also words of some of the top leading, experts and analysts out there.
Those guys, they're all idiots.
You can say whatever you want.
I met them all.
When he lights up the aisles.
You
tell him, Anthony.
First of all, why are we bringing up the Islanders? I haven't even mentioned the Islanders except once. And I said Matthew Barzal still hasn't signed. All of a sudden, you're taking shots at the Islanders? All I'm telling you is what I'm saying. And, of course, a Ranger fan wants to attack the Islanders. That has nothing to do with it. I'm just speaking out of my own perception of the New York Rangers. But I don't hate them. Well, I do, but that's just me.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. But
that's good. That's what it's about.
So we've actually argued about this a lot. Jacob Trouba, he thinks the Rangers overpaid for him.
Oh, yes, they did.
And he's not a top 10 or top 15 defenseman. And
not at all.
He was one of the few defensemen in the NHL that had 100 hits, 100 blocks this year, and still has had a productive, not great, but productive offensive season this past season. So what was your perception on the contract of Trouba, and how much more could he grow? He's 25 years old. How much more upside could you see him having with this Rangers defense?
Yeah, I find it funny that we're talking about a 25-year-old defenseman like, oh, my God, what a mistake. You got to understand the business of hockey.
I do.
Right? The business of hockey is right-handed defensemen are a bit of a commodity. And the Rangers were completely lacking one. And they got him for a song as far as I'm concerned. They got him for a steal. Is the contract high? Sure it is at the moment. I can certainly see why people would say that. He struggled to adjust, coming here. But as the season went on, you started to see the game that he had in Winnipeg. And I think this is going to be a very telling year. And I think he's going to shut up a lot of the critics, whoever they are. And I think he's going to lead that defense. I think D'Angelo is going to play on the left side. I think they're going to test that out. And I think that should work. And if D'Angelo is allowed to go up there and do the offensive things and Trouba can be that kind of stay home guy, and does, the smart plays on the blue line in the offensive zone and uses that big, powerful shot of his. And I think D'Angelo could set him up when they gain control in the zone. I think he's going to be very good. Is he a big point scoring defenseman? No, I think the Rangers are looking at him to be that defensive shutdown guy, the guy you rely on to face the Ovechkins and the Crosbys when you're in the division, and to do the best you can to shut them down. I also think they want him to be physical and take more of a leadership role, and I think he's got to be able to do that. I think he can. So my thought process is it's way too early to be saying, oh, they messed that one up. I'm not that kind of fan.
Well, I understand that, but we can look at percentages in some of the top hockey players that have played against him this year, especially against Trouba, and he is a -12 on the ice against some of the top hockey players in the NHL. So when you look at those numbers, those aren't good numbers. So I look at who you're playing against. You're gonna put them against your top players, the top players in the NHL, and you have a -12 against some of the top players in the NHL. That's not good. Okay, so that's just me. I'm looking at what Trouba is. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about what I think about the Rangers defense, because I think the problem with the New York Rangers, and it's been the problem for the New York Rangers for the last couple of years, really for the last 7 years, is their defense. They have a bunch of old, now they're younger defensively, but now all the Ranger fans are talking about DeAndre Miller and all these different guys they're bringing up. Meanwhile, some people are setting the DeAndre Miller back. They say that he should be held back another 1 year or 2 years because of his, the fact of the speed of the game and the way the game is. And also, I've also read that the Ranger fans have come out and said over the last couple of years that the Rangers defense haven't been that bad. Meanwhile, last year, when they went into the playoffs, and I want to hear about the COVID-19 and listen to all the Ranger fans saying, if there wasn't COVID-19, the Rangers would have went out and made a run for the play, went to the Stanley Cup. Give me
Who the hell are you talking to?
Oh, dude.
I mean, are the Ranger fans you talking to 8 years old?
Oh, absolutely, man. You got to listen to some of these. I'm not saying you.
I mean, are you kicking it at the playground and saying, let's talk hockey? Who are you talking to?
Oh, man. I'm all over the place. I talk.
Get off Twitter.
I don't go. Believe it or not, I've got over 1,400 people that follow me, and I am never on Twitter. It's so funny. It is funny. It is funny. I got to start going on Twitter because that's what you're supposed to do. You know, you say your stupid things, and people can take their licks at you. But whatever the case is, that's the way it is. But I think Ranger fans are a little overboard. What do you think this offseason? The Rangers, there was really no acquisitions defensively. Do you think JD made a mistake?
Oh, not at all. I mean, the bottom line is that they walked away with the number 1 pick in the draft and an awesome looking defenseman in Braden Schneider, who they traded up to acquire. And they really couldn't do anything else. I think there's a salary cap in hockey. And the easy answer is there were cap issues. First off, the Rangers have $12 million in dead cap space this season, especially after they bought out Lundqvist. They had bought out Shattenkirk. They're still paying for Dan Girardi's buyout. So there's $12 million in dead cap space. Next year, it's going to drop to only $4 million. So they're going to gain $8 million just like that, which means the Rangers are going to be in prime position to bring in probably a superstar. Not to mention that they're going to also lose Brendan Smith's $4 million. They're going to lose Jack Johnson's $1 million. So now I've just told you they're going to have, looks like it's going to be about $13-14 million to play with. Okay. There's people that they have to sign, but they're all RFAs and they're all going to be cost controlled. But the reason why they didn't do anything is because you're bringing in Lafreniere. He's going to play. He's going to get an ELC, right? That's $925,000 max. But with the bonuses, he's close to $3 million. So you got to be prepared that he could hit those bonuses, and you got to pay that out. They had RFAs to sign in D'Angelo. They had RFAs to sign in Strome, Brendan Lemieux, and Georgiev. All of them had arbitration rights, so they were going to have to get more money than your bare minimums like they got the last time. So when you start adding that up, and you start also looking at how young the Rangers are and how loaded they are with guys like Shesterkin, who's on an ELC, Kakko, who's on an ELC. Possibly they might put Keandre Miller on the team this year. That's a very likely possibility.
Probably. Yep.
Adam Fox gets performance bonuses. All these guys get performance bonuses. So you have to have a cap cushion. You can go over the cap by about $6 million in performance bonuses, but with the number they have, they're going to go $4 million. They could go $4 million over possibly. So it's all cap related. So keep your eye on the Rangers. I've spoken to a few people, got good information from within that basically this is the year they're going to see what they have in the kids, and come deadline, depending on where they are in the standings, but definitely in the offseason, with knowing what's coming off the books, prepare for them to take some of these prospects. Not all these guys in the pipeline are going to be able to play on the Rangers. It's impossible. It's impossible. You got Nick Lundqvist out in Sweden. He's coming at some point. You got Keandre Miller on defense. You have this kid, Matthew Robertson. You've got Zach Jones on defense. You've got Braden Schneider, who I just mentioned. These guys are they coming in? Who are they moving out? And if they're not going to be able to make those guys, you have to turn those assets into things you need, like a legitimate number 2 center possibly, or just a top line center. Or how about bringing in a Patrick Laine? Why is that out of the question? It's not. Imagine Patrick Laine and Capo Caco as your 2 wingers on the right side with Panarin and Lafreniere. You find the center in there, you've got a Stanley Cup top 6.
Well,
I'm just telling you why they didn't go out crazy this past summer.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. And I know a lot of Ranger fans are going to love what you say. And I know Ranger fans are probably riding the bike and not backwards, and they think they're moving forwards. But again, I think you have to look at going into this season. You have to worry about where this defense is. I as a Ranger fan should be worrying about that. And I don't care what anybody says. They have the goaltending. We all know what they got. They have 2 good goaltenders. They've proven that they're good. And Shesterkin, this kid he's going to be a special player. But the Rangers have had a special goaltender for years. Henrik Lundqvist. By the way, shout out to Henrik Lundqvist. I said this on Monday. Hopefully everything is well with him and his family with the open heart surgery. I'm not a big Ranger fan. Everybody knows that, but I don't wish hurt from anybody. I think Henrik Lundqvist is one of the greatest goaltenders of our era, and he will be missed. I don't know if he'll ever play again. I don't know. I know he says that he wants to, but something like this might hold him back. I really, this is an old goaltender,
Yeah, I think, first off, I agree with you. Those words, they're perfect. Get well. It would be very difficult for him to come back from. I really don't know if a team would even take a chance. I mean, the guy just had open heart surgery, right? Or is about to have it. I haven't heard anything. Obviously, it's something that he should do well with, and hopefully everything turns out okay. So I agree with you. And the Rangers don't have a goaltending issue.
No,
and
not at all.
They're top heavy. We'll be honest, they're top heavy on the top 6. The third line is questionable, even with Lafreniere being put there to start. We don't know where that's going to end up. But the defense is an issue, and that's absolutely their top 4 is solid. Okay, if D'Angelo can make the adjustment, and there's no reason why he can't. He played 3 years on the offside when he was in the OHL, and for an offensive defenseman to have your stick in the middle of the ice is a plus. Okay. And he said he's no fear, no concern about going on his backhand to keep the puck in on that side. So that's fine. The bottom pair is scary. Does it make sense to put Keandre Miller there? Who's going to play on the right side? You're going to now take Brendan Smith and put him on the right side of the third pair. There really is nobody there, but Brendan Smith is probably the best option to do it since he did it before and he's a veteran. And Brendan Smith, as much as people are probably thinking they don't want him on the team, they would be wrong. There's no way Quinn's not going to put him on the team. And the reason why I'm going to tell you is very simple. Just look at what he did last year. He could play 4th line wing and he could play defense. And if you could have that in your lineup with young kids and you put in a Keandre Miller and he's not having a good night and you don't want the kid to suffer all night, you don't want to go down to 5, you take that guy, you drop him down, you roll those 2 forwards with other lines to give people a break. It works out beautifully.
It's very interesting.